Hi, everybody. Welcome to GV Face, the Global Voices Google Hangout series. My name is Faten Bushehri. I'm a contributor at Global Voices, joining you today from Amsterdam. This week, we will talk to a Brazilian criminal and human rights lawyer who worked at a law firm in Brazil but decided to quit his job, leave everything behind, and join the refugees on their journey in Europe. Edgard Raoul today is joining us also from Amsterdam. Welcome, Edgard, to our show.
Hi.
So we're going to just jump in and talk about your journey. You started in Turkey and then Lesvos volunteering in Greece with the refugees, and then you spent 26 days walking with the refugees through countries in Europe. But take us back a little bit. You quit everything, you left your life behind in Brazil to do this. Tell me why. What are your reasons to do that?
Yes, as you said, I'm a human rights lawyer, and I believe that to talk about human rights and to speak up about human rights, we have to go to the field as a lawyer as well, because talking about human rights, we really need to understand the gap and the difference between the cultures and the people. And for me, it's really important to go to the field. And today we live one of the most biggest refugee crises after the Second World War. And I thought it was a really good opportunity to see the crisis, to see how the most powerful countries in the world, the European countries, deal with the crisis, and to see how the big organizations face the problem as well.
So as a Brazilian guy, there weren't many Brazilians doing that journey, or not even many Brazilians volunteering. What were the reactions when you made that decision back home? What were the reactions of the people, your family, your friends? What did they say? What did they think of this journey? And what do you say to people who think that you are just a rich boy from Brazil doing this tourism, Euro trip, just on tourism? What would your response be to that?
And actually, in the beginning, my family and my close friends, they didn't understand my reasons and why I would go to Europe to see refugees, and they told me, "Hey, are you crazy? We are going there to see the Muslim people, the Arab people, and they are really dangerous. They are like extremists and terrorists. And what are you going to put yourself in this kind of risk?" And yes, guys, maybe I'm sure you don't understand about the crisis or about the people from there. But the first reaction, it was they tried uh, to impede me to go there, and they didn't support me. Actually, my close friends, my family, they knew me and they know me, and my mother always tried to give support, and my father is more traditional, and he will, you will waste time, waste money, in this journey, and you have to think about your career. You have a nice position, a law firm today, and why are you going to do that? And yes, and my close friends followed, my father opinion, because actually they try to protect me and in their view, in their opinion, but it was that. And yes, many people uh, ask me and cannot understand, because I belong to a nice family in Brazil. I used to have a nice life in Brazil, and many people tells that I came here to make a Euro trip, but now actually I have many people supporting me, and I'm investing my time to these people, and for sure, if I wanted to make a Europe journey, Euro trip, I would not go to Macedonia or to Serbia. I would go to Paris, to London, to stay in nice place and to see, nice thing. And yes.
So when you arrived in Lesbos, let's talk that you and I met in Lesbos actually during volunteering. What was your first impression when you arrived in Lesbos? Is it what you expected? What was the first thing you saw? Can you describe a little bit?
Yes, when I arrived in Lesbos, I was surprised because I saw many volunteers and I saw a lot of organizations working there. And it was the first time that I saw, the refugees facing the problem, even in the shore, in the camps, in the roads. And my first impression was, wow, we really need to find a solution, because it's not fair what's happening. I mean, we are talking about human beings, it doesn't matter if they come from another country, if they have another religion, if they have another culture. I mean, I was really surprised because they are dying every day trying to cross from Turkey, and it's really not fair. And I was really surprised and completely, well, we really need to fix the problem, not just treat them. We need to find a solution.
So you always talk about how you're living like a refugee. You wanted to do exactly what the refugees are doing, walk in their shoes, travel with them the way they travel. Before you walk me through your journey and where you went, all the countries, can you tell me why it's important to live as a refugee to understand? Because you can volunteer like other volunteers in different camps and observe the situation, but you wanted to do exactly what they're doing. Why is this specifically important?
Yes, I spent 22 days in Lesbos working as a volunteer, but it was enough. It was not enough for me to understand the crisis, and I really wanted to understand the crisis in the refugees' perspective and to try to feel the same they have been feeling, because for me it's really important to put myself in their positions. Then we can see and feel how tough is when you have your rights violated, and when you face this kind of problems, when you don't have choice, to move forward. You have to wait. And as a volunteer, it's possible to understand the crisis, but to understand what's really happening and how tough is the crisis. I pretend to be a volunteer, sorry, a refugee, and because I believed it was the best way to to understand the crisis and all in their perspective.
Okay, so walk me through your journey. You started in Lesbos, and can you walk me through and tell me where you went and how, like, briefly explain the situation?
Yes, from Lesbos, I took a ferry with the refugees to Athens, and in this first moment as a refugee, I could feel how tough is the journey, because we were in the ferry and the employee from Atlantic Seaways asked us to go to the floor. We bought the ticket and we were sitting in the seats, and the employee told us go to the floor, and we finish our journey sleeping on the floor, at least 8 hours. And yes, and I arrived in Athens with the refugees, and then in Athens it's really hard, the situation, because when you arrived in the port, there's no organizations there, and there's a lot of companies, buses companies, try to sell, bus tickets to go to directly to the Idomeni, to the Macedonia's border. But if you have money, you can pay, and it's really expensive. But if you don't have money, many refugees go to the Victoria Square in Athens I mean, to find another solution, to take another bus. And I took the bus in Victoria Square. I paid 30 euros in the port. It's about 60 euros. And I pay the half price from Victoria Square. And yes, and I went to Idomeni. and Idomeni, it's the last camp before crossing to Macedonia, and there's not a lot of infrastructure. When I was there, the border was closed to another people who was not Syrian, Afghan, and Iraqian. And yes, I spent 5 days there trying to, help the refugees and sleeping with them, cooking with them. And yes, and from Idomeni I crossed to Macedonia, and in Macedonia was a little bit hard because I didn't take the same transportation, um, the same train, and I took a bus, to go to Serbia, and I realized that I paid less, than the refugee pays, and I paid €7 in a bus ticket. It's a normal bus, and the refugees they paid €20, and I didn't understand why the refugees, usually paid more than the people, and it was really weird for me. And I asked to the police, and the police told me this money goes, to the infrastructure, to the camp, and that's it. And I took the bus, and after that I crossed to Serbia. In Serbia, actually the whole Balkans route is really dangerous. It's really tough because the refugees we were not protected. A lot of people and local people. Uh, they interact with you, and they try all the time to take advantage, to exploit you, because you are in a weak position. And for example, in the Serbia's border, five taxi drivers try to, actually they put me inside a taxi, and they try to take money from me, and they told me the only way to cross is by taxi, and I told them I don't have money. I have to cross walking. It's my only chance. And after 5-7 minutes resisting, they released me, and I could cross to Serbia. And in this border, I remember it was really tough as well because I almost was arrested, because it was really, weird. A young guy with a backpack and a sleeping bag trying to cross the border, walking, and when I approached the Serbia's border, the authorities put me in a small room, and when they took my passport, they saw my passport from Brazil, and yes, for sure, this guy is a refugee trying to cross the border with a fake passport, or they thought he's a smuggler trying, to cross the border to do something there. And when they took the handcuffs to arrested me, I remember that I was in Serbia. I remember there is a tennis player, Novak Djokovic, really well known, and he's a hero in Serbia. And I remember that I had picture with him, and I show this picture, to try to convince the authorities that I was, not a smuggler, and my documents, I mean, it's not fake, it's original. And after that, they released me, and it was, really weird, because a picture released me, but that's it. And after Serbia, I went to Croatia by train, and my train actually stopped in Belgrade. And in Belgrade, because we had to switch the train, and in Belgrade again there's nobody there to guide us, nobody there, no organization, to give information. And again, a lot of taxi drivers, just waiting us and asking us to take the taxi to go to another border. And yes, and after Croatia, I went to Slovenia. In Slovenia, it was a little bit weird as well because the authorities received us with two tanks. And I remember we were walking, we looked each other and what's going on? Why, these two tanks are coming toward us? We are not, I mean, it's really weird, this powerful army, approaching us, and we couldn't understand, why. We were just trying to move forward, to reach our destination, and it was weird. And after Slovenia, I took a train to Austria, and in Austria everything, not everything, but the situation is better. There was not like army or authorities, and the people in Austria, really helpful people, try to help us. And yes, it was better. And after Austria, I went to Germany, Frankfurt, and I finished the journey in Frankfurt.
So, if you take us a little bit back again, that sounds like an interesting journey. What are the toughest moments that you've witnessed? What are the challenges? What do you think, you pretending to be a refugee, for them as well, if you can speak on their behalf? What are the toughest parts of this journey and moments, you think?
Of course, it's really hard to face the cold, the weather, the bad weather, because it's winter right now, and it's really hard. You are starving all the time, and there's no food. Many times, and you have to support, this journey without food. It's really hard as well. You have to stay without shower, and but the most difficult thing is about losing the power of choice. This is the worst thing that I felt in my life, because you don't have choice. If you want to go to the bathroom, you don't have choice. You just want to wait. You have to wait. If you want to eat something, you have to wait. If you want to go to another border, you have to wait the authorities. And I could talk to the refugees, and I could see how tough is, when you lose the power of choice, because it's really, I mean, I don't know how to describe, but you are like nothing, because you don't have choice, any choice. It's about our dignity, you
Hmm.
know. If you want to go to the bathroom, you have to go to, there's no bathroom. You have to go someplace and hide yourself, to the people, and you usually eat anything and everything that people offer you. You cannot, check if it's a good food, it's not a good food. You just eat because you need to feed yourself. But the most tough thing for sure is losing the power of choice.
So you've talked several times about several stories that really touched you during your journey. And I know one of the most emotional and shocking one was in Lesbos, with a little girl. Do you want to tell people about this experience?
Yes, I'm sure this was the toughest moment for me. I was on the shore, and suddenly a new boat came, and this boat was completely different. The atmosphere, because a father carrying his daughter, he was crying, he was shouting a lot, and we didn't understand actually. And when the boat came, we realized, wow, probably he's carrying a dead child. And the shore froze, I froze, everybody froze, and wow, we are watching a dead child, and whoa, what should we do, And we had an eye contact, me and the father, and I went there, to offer my help, and I took his child, to my arm, and I could feel, she was unconscious, she was cold, she was pale, really white, and wow, I'm carrying a dead child, and I could feel the whole injustice, that the child and the refugees are facing, because, I mean, it's really close, Turkey and Lesbos. I mean, it's really close, and I couldn't understand, why this is happening, and I was carrying a dead child in my arms, and it's not fair, it's completely not fair. It's a child, you know, uh, it's a child, like, and I mean, I just try to cheer. I ask, please, please wake up. You just made it. Wake up. It's not fair to die right now. You arrived in Greece. You are in Europe. Let's go. Let's continue the journey. And I put my hand in her chest to try to feel her heart, and I could feel. And after 5 7 minutes, she started to open her eyes, and I took her, to the doctors, and then I ran to her father to give him the notice. Your daughter is alive. Let's go. Your daughter is alive. But I'm sure it was the toughest moment, because I was sure she was dead, and I was sure she was dead, and
That's a
it
tough
was.
moment. So
Yes,
we're
for sure.
running out of time, so I just want to final question briefly. You know how the situation in Europe now, the tension is rising. There's this right-wing sentiment rising. There's attacks happening. This last sexual harassment attack in Germany happened. People might have a resentment towards refugees. They don't want more refugees to come. What is the message that you tell to these people? Because you've lived with refugees. What do you say to that? How do you bridge this gap in understanding?
Yes, actually, when we talk about refugees, we are talking about human beings, and of course, there's bad human beings and there's nice human beings in the whole world, in everywhere, in any place, not, even in America, in Europe, in the Middle East. We are talking about human beings, and the refugees, they are human beings as well. And I think it's really important we it's not fair to judge, all the refugees as a bad person, bad people, because something's happening, or some situation happened, and we need, to be careful, because I've been spending almost 2 months with the refugees, and I can tell you for sure that it was one of the best moments in my life, because I could feel love, and the refugees, they accepted me, because all the time they knew that I was not a refugee, because I don't speak Arabic and I don't speak Farsi. And they embraced me in the journey. They shared their loves with me. And we need to pay attention when we talk about refugees. We are talking about human beings, as any human being in the world. And we don't judge, if someone, make or made a bad thing, don't put a label, like if one refugee, or if one person, don't put a label, this person do that, everybody will do the same. Of course not.
Yeah. Well, we're running out of time, and it's definitely an interesting topic. Um, to wrap up, I know you're going to the Middle East, so to understand more the situation and see where the refugees are also coming from, we will try to follow your journey in the Middle East and see if we can update people. Thank you so much for your time and for joining us. Um, for the viewers, I wanted to tell you that in next week, our new episode is going to be about the revolution in Bahrain, marking the 5th anniversary of the revolution. Our Global Voices contributor, Mohammed Safi, will be moderating. So stay tuned for that, and hopefully you will be joining us. Thanks again, Edgar, and we will keep in touch.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for watching.